こんにちは。Aerial です。今日は I want to talk about my experience with the closed beta test of Sword Art Online Fractured Daydream. Though, I'm really excited about the game, but there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. Just a disclaimer though, I have never played in the closed beta test, mainly because I forgot to register. But I do believe that there has been quite a lot of you know, things in the closed beta test that wasn't present in that of the open beta test. And at the same time, apparently there's a lot of issues in the open beta test that is not present in the closed beta test. So keep that in mind. So to start it off, I'd like to say that I've only been following the anime, but never the gameverse or the light novel. But to be fair though, after playing the open beta test, I've actually started binge watching Sword Art Online again. And I think this is this is gonna be my entry to the gameverse, right? Of Sword Art Online, because there's been quite a lot. We have Hollow Fragment, Lost Song, Hollow Realization, Fatal Bullet, which I believe was said to be like the best Sword Art Online game to date. With the exception of Fractured Daydream. We have Alicization Licorice, and then we have Last Recollection. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm butchering the name. And then we have the Fractured Daydream. And again, honestly, I think this is a very great way to enter the Sword Art Online gameverse, which this is going to be my entry to the series. So let's talk about the positives. The fan service is really great. I like what they did here. They've culminated everything that they've had with the gameverse, and of course the anime and everything, blah 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 blah. Especially the GGO as well. Gun Gale Online Alternative. They are going to be incorporating those characters from that non-canon line going into this game, because the time and space got warp and everything, blah 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 blah, and now everyone is here. And honestly, it's just so great, and the way that they model the characters is just amazing. Another thing that I'd like to say is that it has very great intuitive controls, and it's really easy to pick up. There's not a lot of things to press. I mean, I guess if you're playing on keyboard and mouse, there's quite a lot. But other than that, if you're playing in your controller, then that is good. Although I'd have to say that some characters are definitely better to play on keyboard and mouse, such as the gunners like Shinon and Ren. But that's just me. Playing in this game as well, it feels like you're actually in the world of Sword Art Online, just because of the fact that we haven't had a game where we had to raid a boss, where we're in an open space and everything. So this really feels like you're in the Sword Art Online mode, and at the same time, there's a lot of different modes. We have the single player story mode. There is the the boss raid, as I mentioned, which there's like 20 players playing on that mode. We have the co-op quest as well, which has been an amazing experience. I gotta tell you guys, you should have been playing the open beta. And there's also the free roam mode, which is going to be available only on the full game, which is essentially going to be like the MMO mode of the game, where you can free roam, and there'll be monsters. You'll be able to get your equipment. They're going to be able to farm, get your loot, and meet other players, and possibly some bosses as well in the game. It's really enjoyable, and I've played over 20 hours just on the open beta test, but I would have probably played more if I didn't have to go to sleep. But it's not all fun and games, as there's still some issues I think could ruin the game. As far as the issues are concerned, I'd have to say that sometimes, as much as intuitive the controls are, it's sometimes unresponsive. most notably the charged move, because there's a lot of things that you could actually do with your charged moves, especially the heavy attack charge move. But unfortunately, sometimes it just does not, you know, respond to your clicks. So that is definitely something that could be an issue. Though I've been seeing a lot of like videos as well on Twitter that has been using a lot of charge moves. So maybe it's only because I'm playing on a PC. I'm not sure. I don't have a PS5. Another thing is that it's mostly online. So, you know, I mean, there's a story mode, you know, that's a single player mode, but that's pretty much it for the offline mode. The reason why I'm scared that this is an online, mostly online only game is that, you know, like enemy games die after a while. And let's be honest, right? Like Sword Online games, I'd have to say, is while there's, you know, a player base, there's a fan base for the gameverse of Sword Art Online, I wouldn't say that it is that big. Because if it were, then, you know, we would have known of it, even, you know, if you're not there. You know what I mean? And what do you call this? Like, especially that it's an anime game, as I mentioned, it dies after a while, and my fear is that the player base might actually be half, maybe even less before the time it goes to sale. And I really think that this game is really, really much more worth it to play on, well, to buy during sale, because like a $60 price tag for this game, I think it's a little bit too much. It also doesn't help the fact that the game releases a week before the ever so anticipated Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which, let's be honest, is the more popular among the two. And Dragon Ball, it doesn't matter if you're only playing the games, doesn't matter if you're playing just the anime, watching the anime, it's Dragon Ball, right? That's all you need to know. It's like Marvel. It's Marvel because it's, you know, it's popular because it's Marvel. Dragon Ball is of the same, you know? But going back into the games themselves, right? The lock-on feature definitely needs some work. It's quite goofy, quite funky. Even if you're like, you know, aiming at somewhere, like say for example, one of the bosses, right? You're aiming at the head and you're gonna, you know, click on the lock on, it would actually lock on to a different, sometimes a different mob or a different part of the boss. Which is really, you know, again, it's bearable, but for the long run, I think they really need to like fix that, which was told to us, by the way, which was told to me on the official Sword Art Online Fractured Daydream Discord, that they didn't have that issue during the closed beta test. So that's, again, they still have like a week to fix everything. Hopefully, you know, they get to fix that. The camera also needs some work, because just like the lock-on feature, sometimes it's very funky, it's very goofy, and especially if you're locking on to something that is not visible on your, like, well, what you're seeing, you know, sometimes your attacks would whiff. So that definitely needs to get some fix. Another thing is that, you know, like the game is grindy, which I guess for me this is a good thing, but at least only if the player base is active, because, you know, like the game is grindy. It's just like playing your gacha games where you need to get your artifacts, or say your W engine, or like, you know, your disk drives from, you know, Xenoblade Zone Zero. Sorry, not W engines, because we don't have no energies here. That's the good thing, right? Like, this is the good thing for me, just because of the fact that, you know, like, again, like I can grind until forever, you know. I can grind forever, in comparison to like playing gacha games where, you know, it's, you have to wait for your energies to replenish before you can actually grind. But in this game, you can grind whenever you want. So, but that could be like a bad thing for other people as well, because, you know, not a lot of people would appreciate grinding into the games, right? They want to just like, hey, you know, like if we can get a strong weapon through a a certain method, I would do that instead, which I totally understand as well. But this game, no, it does not have that. You can get loots per dungeon run, but the substats that you would have in those, like the rarity and the substats and the rank or the levels of your weapons that you'll be able to get is not predetermined at all. So everything is randomized, everything is RNG, or in other words, gacha. So you really have to grind for you to be able to like get your good items. And then like there's also the money problem, where there's not a lot of money that is being given to you per run of a dungeon. So that's definitely an issue. Now the gameplay loop is also draggy. It's repeating. The gameplay loop is just the same again and again and again. But like I know there'll be variety of like dungeons and bosses on the full game, but while the game is fun, it's actually surprisingly superbly easy to get bored of. So hopefully they bring about, like the developers could bring about updates on the game, like frequent updates, regular updates, just to keep the player base active and healthy, and essentially just keep on playing the game. Because honestly, as it's mostly just an online only game, dude, I don't want to spend $60 to play with CPUs. You know what I mean? Like I want to play with other people too. So but other than that, like a minor wish that I have is that I hope that like there's this feature. There's this feature called the last attack special, which comes from like the SAO universe, like Sword Art Online universe, where you get bonuses, right? When you get the last hit. But in this case, right, you get extra XP for getting the last hit in the game, and at the same time, right, like you get this special zoom in camera. However, sometimes it's really funky that you don't really see yourself getting the last hit. So I hope it could be improved. But that's just like a minor wish. It's not really something that would affect the entirety of the game. But again, that's just like a wish of mine. Hopefully, like you can get like beautiful screenshots of your character, that the one that you're using as you get the final hit. Which I think would be really awesome and really be aesthetic as well. But like there's that, and those are my I guess things that I have for this game. But as far as my personal thoughts are concerned, I'd still get the game though. So as based on my experience, right? Only basing it on my experience from the open beta, I think it's probably gonna be a game that I will shelve after a month. I'm being very brutal here, but I really think that it's a game that I will shelve after a month. So again, hopefully they can bring about regular updates, freaking updates, just so that we can be really like there, like active, make us want to keep on playing. So that's my thing, and I hope that they can fix the issues as well before the game launches, which is like a week from now. Because based on the accounts that of those that had played the closed beta test, the issues that arose, again, as I mentioned during the open beta, weren't present in the closed beta. So I think they really need to fix that, because these are definitely some game breaking, well, not game breaking, but like something that would turn off people from getting the game, which again we all hope all hope to get the game. Because hey, it's sort of online. You can play as Kirito, you can play as Asuna, Yuki, Ejuru, Lifa, best girl, by the way. But yeah, I know I said a lot, but nonetheless, I still had fun. And again, I'd still get the game and enjoy it as much as I can. So, if you guys have played the open beta for Sword Art Online, please let me know what you think, of the game. Are you gonna be getting it or you're not gonna be getting it? Why? Leave it down in the comment section, and I hope to see you guys again on the next one. Mata ne!